The path to anoint Jurgen Klopp's replacement at Liverpool has been anything but a straight line so far, and this week that path takes a very interesting turn, this time into the Netherlands. Hi, it's your soccer zombie Tom Franklin here, looking at the Liverpool coaching search from across the pond here in the middle of America. That should have been obvious that I'm from the land of the Yanks. My accent gives it away, and I just called your beloved sport soccer. If YouTube was based in England, I might get demonetized for saying such a vulgarity. But you're still here, so while you're hanging around, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button down below. And if you have any thoughts on Liverpool's coaching search, which I know a lot of you do, go ahead and drop a comment below if you think Arne Slot is the right man for Anfield. There was one name at the top of everyone's list at the start of this whole process when Klopp, in a very "I'm so tired" manner, announced that he was leaving Anfield after this season. And that name was Xabi Alonso, until he decided building a German juggernaut in Leverkusen was probably a safer move than filling Klopp's shoes. I don't really blame him there. And once Liverpool fans like me got over being rejected like a prom date, there was another name at the top of everyone's list at the next part of this whole process: Ruben Amorim of Sporting CP. But apparently he was not at the top of Michael Edwards' list, the newly minted Liverpool chief executive. Yes, Amorim was in England this week, but not in Liverpool. He went to London interviewing with West Ham. Let's put a pin in that topic for now. So Liverpool has already been spurned by Germany's hottest coach, and then they said nah to Portugal's hottest coach. So what now? Well, the Netherlands apparently, and apparently Feyenoord's manager Arne Slot. No, not that kind of slot. No, I said slot, not slav. Never mind. Yes, thank you, editor Tom. Jeez. Multiple sources, from Fabrizio Romano to James Pearce of The Athletic, confirmed on Tuesday that Slot is a leading candidate in the race to replace Klopp. And then just one day later, The Athletic reports that Liverpool made a bid to pluck Slot from Feyenoord, and Fabrizio is reporting the two sides are discussing contracts, and that Slot is really liking the idea of replacing Klopp. Slot? Klopp. Hey, it rhymes, so it must be a good fit, right? But unlike Amorim, Slot does not have a release clause in his contract, so that has to be haggled over between the two clubs. But the Dutch club said no, which is not the first time the word no has been used in the art of courtship. I mean, I hear it, unfortunately, quite a lot in my own dating life. Awkward. So just who is this guy? He was promoted to manager of AZ Alkmaar in 2019 and led them to success right out the gate. Slot became the first coach to win 19 points in his first 8 Eredivisie games at AZ. He had a deep run in the Europa by Netherlands standards and only finished second to Ajax on goal difference. But the next season, he was sacked by AZ. Now, why did this happen? Well, he was negotiating his next job with his next club, Feyenoord, and the brass at AZ Alkmaar felt that he wasn't paying enough attention to his club. I guess no such concerns this year at Feyenoord. And it would be at Feyenoord where he would draw interest from England. Replacing Dick Advocaat, he reshaped the club into his image and guided them to the finals of the inaugural Europa Conference League, losing to Roma. But in successive seasons, Slot guided Feyenoord to the Europa League and then to the Champions League, only to be knocked out and yeeted out of the Europa League once again by Roma. But more importantly, though, he led Feyenoord to the Eredivisie League title in 2023, the first since 2017 and just the second in 20 years. This attracted the attention of Tottenham Hotspur, but Slot chose to extend until 2026 and followed up the Eredivisie title with the Dutch Domestic Cup this season. So is he the right choice for Liverpool? Who better to ask than a fellow Liverpool fan?
I think Slot is a really good manager. I think he's done amazing stuff at Feyenoord and did unbelievable with AZ Alkmaar as well. I think if it wasn't for COVID, he might have even won the title in Alkmaar in that period before the league was cancelled that season. But at Feyenoord, he's won the league, he's won the club's going to win the league again this season. He took them to a European final for the first time in 20 years. So yeah, I think Slot is a really good young manager.
And on that note, what kind of coach will he be? Well, his track record at Feyenoord indicates a high possession, high pressing, clinical attacking football that would appear to fit Liverpool's style, but he does play with a different formation.
I think he favours more of a 4-2-3-1, rather at the current we play 4-3-3. But any great manager would be able to tinker that to the current squad that he's got, or make the change that he does need to make.
If Liverpool do hire Slot, it would be another in a long line of Netherlands coaches that have made the jump over to England and the Premier League. And the results in the past, not the greatest. Ruud Gullit was a legendary midfielder for Feyenoord, AC Milan, and the Dutch national team, but as a manager, he struggled at Chelsea and Newcastle in the late 90s. Martin Jol had moderate success at Tottenham and Fulham, but was sacked from both jobs in the 2000s due to poor performance. Ronald Koeman actually guided Southampton as high as a sixth-place finish in the Prem, in even qualifying for Europa as well. He jumped to Everton, also got them in Europa, but a nightmare start in 2017 did him in, and he now coaches the Netherlands national team. Louis van Gaal famously inherited a broken Manchester United squad still looking for their heir apparent to Sir Alex Ferguson after David Moyes crashed and burned. Van Gaal lost his locker room in the 2015-16 seasons, and despite winning the FA Cup, he was sacked just 2 days later. He's now an advisor, quote-unquote, for Ajax. And then there's Erik ten Hag, who is the current Dutchman in charge of Manchester United. And like Van Gaal, he is also competing for an FA Cup trophy. But also like Van Gaal, that might not be enough to save his job either way. And there have been other Dutch managers in the past that have coached in the Prem that had shorter, far less infamous stints. For instance, the aforementioned Dick Advocaat just won 3 of his 17 games that he coached at Sunderland in 2015, and Frank de Boer couldn't even win a single game in 10 weeks at Crystal Palace in 2017. So can Arne Slot break the trend of bad Dutch coaches in the Premier League?
But I think he's going to take it at face value with the current manager you've got. I think his track record speaks for itself, and I think he would suit Liverpool and the Premier League pretty well, to be honest with you.
Okay, you know about Arne Slot now. Let's go back to the last flavor of the month and Ruben Amorim. When it comes to the Liverpool coaching search, many are wondering just what happened there. I thought he was the guy, right? Well, that's not exactly clear as to what exactly happened there, as Portuguese outlet Record now reporting that Amorim might just stay in Lisbon and could spurn both Liverpool and West Ham. Talks with West Ham this week were reportedly not positive. But Liverpool fans like me had started to envision a future with Amorim patrolling the sidelines for the Reds. That's not going to happen now, and many are wondering if Slot is actually a downgrade from Amorim, partly due to those past poor records that Dutch coaches have had in the Premier League. But is that actually the case, though? Is Slot actually a downgrade from Amorim?
Oh, that's a good question. I think they're both pretty equal, to be honest with you. They both achieved similar things in similar leagues. They both kind of took underdog teams and won leagues, won cups with them. Obviously, then on Slots took Feyenoord to European final. Amorim's took Spot into a latter stage of the Europa League by knocking out Arsenal last year. So I think they're both very similar in that sense. I do, with Amorim, one thing I would say is I think he's kind of let himself down with his actions over the last couple of days. I do feel how he's conducting himself coming to the UK, speaking to West Ham. I do think it's kind of shown his true colours.
Regardless, this process has gone on for a few months now. We're almost at the end of the season, and fans like Scott are ready to see a resolution.
You know what? I just want it to be done. It's so hard to focus on this season, to focus on these last few managers with Klopp, because we've been in this position for a while. Previously, when a manager's left, they've kind of been sacked in the season, as in Roy Hodgson or Brendan Rodgers. We've kind of had some kind of replacement pretty soon, like when Hodgson left, Kenny come in for caretaker and did the following season, and then when obviously Rodgers left, Klopp come in, and even when Rafa left, that kind of they were at the end of the season. That's when the announcement was, and then Hodgson come in. So it's a very unique situation as Liverpool fans to be in this position we've known for a while that Klopp's going to believe in, and we haven't had any confirmation of who the next manager is going to be. So it's kind of a bit anxious. So I'm ready for it to be over, but at the same time, I trust the club to make the right decision.
Thanks to that LFC fan Scott Cheetham for joining me for some Liverpool perspective. Like me, he too has started a YouTube journey. Be sure to follow him at that LFC fan on YouTube. But what do you think about Arne Slot? Do you think he's the right man to lead Liverpool? I mean, after all, he really seems excited about coming to Liverpool and he plays a similar style. Or are you more concerned about the fact that Dutch coaches typically don't do well in the Premier League? Do you think that Slot is a downgrade from Amorim? Did you have your heart set on Amorim or someone else? Leave a comment below. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content. I will continue to follow the Liverpool coaching search here on this channel. But this is your soccer zombie, Tom Franklin, and I never walk alone.